on AM 560, The Answer.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios. Only the biggest stories, only the biggest guests, and only the biggest opinions. This is AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. Fake eyelashes Spice of the Socialist Spice Girls goes by Jasmine Crockett, new Marxist from Dallas, has been running her mouth a lot lately, and because she understands that basically if you just sort of make a running spectacle of yourself, then a lot of people will pay attention to you. And if you're just sort of hysterically anti whatever your political opponents are doing, no matter how informed or uninformed it is, then, you know, that will generate heat on social media and profile, and somebody will pay you a ridiculous amount of money to have somebody ghostwrite a book for you, and so on and so forth, and you're on your way, sort of like AOC. So Crockett is following that playbook. She had this to say in advance of the House vote on the proposed Republican authored budget yesterday.
But we're in the minority. But so long as we stand strong and not one Democrat falters, let me tell you, there are going to be Republicans that don't want to vote for this, and they can't lose more than one vote. So long as we stand together and so long as we're here, and the Republicans, they're dysfunctional. They can't get this done by themselves.
Well, I don't know who had to break it to her, but yeah, they lost one vote, but only one vote, and they did get it done.
Yep.
Now,
they got her done.
Now, again, Jasmine Crockett, I don't want to spend a lot of time on her, but this is somebody that also says this about federal government spending. She was on the Breakfast Club, popular radio show out of New York this week.
There is a lot of waste, fraud, and abuse in the federal government, though.
I'm not going to say that there's a lot. I'm going to say that it does exist. I don't think that there's a lot. I think.
So why are we so in debt, then?
We're in debt because we decide that we're going to reduce the income.
Reduce whose income?
Yeah. Wait.
Oh, you mean reduce the revenue that we extract from taxpayers, and so we can't keep spending $2 trillion more than we're taking in. Right. Brilliant, though. She presents herself as somebody who is very, very intelligent. She has a law degree, so that's how you know she's intelligent. And boy, then she talks.
Really been the one to call it out. The fact that I'm rooting for Canada and I'm rooting for Mexico a lot is really wild. But they are really the ones that are speaking truth to power right now. They can see what it is, and they were like, we are not messing with this crazy regime from Mar-a-Lago, and basically calling them thugs. That's what it is. But I'm like, y'all knew who he was when y'all elected him. So don't act surprised.
Okay. Ilhan Omar is rooting for Somalia, and Jasmine Crockett is rooting for Canada and Mexico. Got it. But there was opposition, that one vote of opposition to the budget deal, and that was from Thomas Massey, who's this libertarian Republican, as most probably know, from Kentucky. MIT guy. He's bright, but he's a bit iconoclastic. He didn't like the deal.
Yeah. Can you just talk to us? Are you still a no? Is there anything?
They convinced me in there. I'm a no.
Is there anything?
Look what, let me, their own numbers. If the Republican plan passes under the rosiest assumptions, which aren't even true, we're going to add $328 billion to the deficit this year. We're going to add $295 billion to the deficit the year after that, and $242 billion to the deficit after that, under the rosiest assumptions. Why would I vote for that?
So are you solidly a no?
Yeah, they convinced me.
For more on this, Steve Moore, economist, author of The Trump Economic Miracle and the Plan to Unleash Prosperity Again, co-authored with Art Laffer. Steve, why would Tom Massey vote for that?
Good morning, guys. Well, you're not going to wipe this smile off my what last night was a huge, huge victory for Trump and for the country and for the Republicans getting their act together. I'm saluting Speaker Johnson, who did an amazing job corralling these cats. By the way, they almost pulled the bill. I don't know if you know about the theatrics that happened last night, but I got a call at about 9 o'clock at night saying they're pulling the bill because they don't have enough votes. And then we got Victoria Spartz from Indiana. By the way, I think she's probably in your zone of where this station reaches.
It's called the ADI. Yes, she's in it. She's been on the show many times.
Yeah, well, she flipped her vote, and I spent about an hour and a half with her yesterday, holding her hand, saying it's going to be okay. This was gigantic, by the way, and I want to make sure people understand, because I don't think that Congresswoman from Illinois that you had on your
no, to Texas, Jasmine Crockett.
Oh, from Texas, okay.
Yeah.
I thought she was in Illini, but anyway,
you would think, but no.
The big deal, the big takeaway from last night's vote was every single Democrat in the entire U.S. House of Representatives, every single one of them voted to raise taxes by $4.5 trillion over the next 10 years. This would be, if the Democrats had their way, we would have the biggest tax increase in the history of the United States. The average family in Illinois would pay $3,000 a year more in federal taxes. If this is not a tax cut, I wish it were. It's basically just saying we're not going to raise taxes, and we're going to keep the current tax law in place. So, big victory for Trump. It looks like this was a huge hump to get over. I think we're going to get this thing done now. We're going to make these tax cuts that we did back in 2017 permanent. That means every small business, every big business, every family in America will not see their taxes rise. But we're also, if you're a tip worker, you're going to get no tax on tips, because that's in the bill too.
No tax on tips, no tax on overtime, no tax on Social Security. Did that all make it?
I don't know all the. I know no tax on tips is in there, and I'm not sure about the other. They made some last-minute changes to the bill, Dan, so I don't know exactly that. But I know no tax on tips is in there.
Well, what I read is that the no tax on tips and no tax on overtime has to be a separate bill.
Well, that is in doubt. I mean, Amy, I'm not sure about that. I was told that they did add no tax on tips, but I don't quote me on that because I'm not sure. As I said, they made all sorts of last-minute changes. The main thing, though, is that the lower tax rates will stay in effect. The doubling of the standard deduction will stay in effect. The fact that we eliminated the death tax for half of American families, all those things are good. And by the way, what do the Democrats, what do they want? They want to raise taxes on families and businesses to the highest they've ever been in the country. I love this statement, by the way, by that congressman saying, "Oh, it's the income. We don't have enough income."
Yeah, we need the income. They need the income.
Congresswoman, we had more revenues into the federal government last year than any other year in history. How is that a shortage of revenues?
Well, they need more still. Address Thomas Massey's no vote and him saying, by their own numbers, it increases the budget deficit by a couple to a few $100 billion each of the next 3 years. I mean, is the argument just simply that's the best that could get done?
Well, first of all, you've got to, if you want to bring the deficit down, and everyone listening to the show, everyone wants that to happen, you have to grow the economy. You have to have, if you don't have growth in the economy, you're never going to bring the deficit down. So, this bill is pro-growth. It puts people back to work. It makes American companies more profitable and more efficient. It reduces the regulatory burden. By the way, the REINS Act is in this bill. Did you know that, Dan?
I did not know that.
Yeah, so that's a big deregulation effort. So, look, I'm really good friends with Tom Massey. I admire him greatly. I think he made a big mistake. And if he had brought this down, I think it would have been an unforgivable mistake. The other thing that he's not taking account of is DOGE. We've got a separate track where we are looking at hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of billions of dollars of savings through what Elon Musk is coming up with, and that's not even counted in this budget.
And by the way, just for those, I should have said more than yes, the REINS Act, correct me if I'm wrong, every new major rule proposed by a federal agency has to be approved by both the House and Senate. So it is sort of more of forcing Congress to do its job and not allowing bureaucracies to usurp its authority.
Exactly. That's what the REINS Act does, and that's why it's a really historic measure. Incidentally, I have a piece in the Wall Street Journal today about this. Remember we used to talk about all these bans that Biden wanted to ban gas stoves, gas ovens, gas lawnmowers, gas this, that, everything. There's going to be a big vote today on some of the reversing some of those bans on. I mean, this is America, damn it. You should be able to buy whatever car you want and put whatever heater you want in your basement, and then use whatever stove you want to. So we're repealing all of those idiotic mandates that Biden put into place.
Hot showers for everyone.
Yay, they're back.
There you go. Woo-hoo!
Bring on the water pressure. Well, one thing that I learned yesterday, I was reading an article, and God, I can't remember, I think it was Wall Street Journal, that at the EU, they charge us 10% for cars that we bring over. It's a 10% tariff. And when we take their European cars, it's only a 2% tariff. So we got to equal this out.
Yeah, well, that's why Trump is talking about reciprocity. And, I know Dan's is probably wincing when I say this because he's a free trader, and I'm a free trader too. But what Trump's strategy is on trade is to force these European countries. He's saying to them, look, if you don't reduce your tariffs on the cars you bring in the United States, we're going to hit you with, tariffs on your products. And I think actually that's going to work. I think Trump is going to force these European countries to lower their tariffs on us, and we could end up with freer and fairer trade under that. But you're right, Amy. I mean, most of these European countries have tariffs much higher than ours are. And then when Trump talks about raising the tariffs, they blow a gasket.
Right. I mean, they're socialists, so they have all sorts of bad policies we shouldn't emulate. I wanted to get your...
not in Germany anymore. Not in Germany.
An improvement. Yes, an improvement.
We'll see. If you retweet something they don't like, watch it. They're going to come a-knocking, Stephen Moore.
Well, maybe that'll start to change, too, under conservative leadership, although we'll see.
Oh, by the way, I wanted to ask you guys something.
Yeah.
We had something in our hotline. I want to make sure it's true. That your esteemed mayor is at a less than 10% approval rating?
6.6. Can't beat those numbers, huh?
You get that low?
It's never happened before.
40 years, I've never heard of anything like that.
He's going to be in D.C. next week. You guys should grab coffee. He's testifying before the House Oversight Committee on sanctuary cities on Wednesday.
He's less popular than Pol Pot.
Yeah, well, you talked about economic growth. I wanted to get your assessment on the economic impact of the following. Al Sharpton's DEI boycott plan. Al Sharpton is calling for a boycott to support diversity, equity, and inclusion this Friday, starting from 12 a.m., going all the way to 11:59 p.m., the whole day. And he doesn't want anyone to make any purchases. Don't shop online or in store. No Amazon, no Walmart, no Best Buy, no McDonald's, no gas, no major retailers. Don't use credit or debit cards because the DEI armies have to make their economic purchasing power felt. Are you worried about the impact of the Al Sharpton boycott?
The big story that's going on over the last probably 9 months or so has been the death of DEI. I mean, not everyone, but almost every major company in America has done a U-turn on this, and they've realized that it is counterproductive, that they're insulting over half of their customers. And even BlackRock, remember BlackRock and Larry Fink, they invented this stuff. And just an article today in the Wall Street Journal about BlackRock's moving back towards the idea of a colorblind society. By the way, did you know it's racist to use the term colorblind?
Is it really?
Everything's racist.
Yeah. You're not allowed to use that term.
No, you're racist. You shouldn't be using it on the air.
It's misogynist.
Well, I guess that means Martin Luther King was racist.
Yeah.
But no, ESG is in total retreat. It's a great thing to see. These companies are – and you know what was, I think, really the first thing that really got these companies to realize they were completely out of touch with their customers? Do you remember, Dan and Amy, the Bud Light commercial?
Yeah, Dylan Mulvaney.
Yeah, that one I think was the match that lit the fire. All of a sudden, you took a company that had a $25 billion market value and you cut it in half with one stupid woke ad. And look, there's a revolt against wokeism. We should just not. We don't need to judge people by the color of their skin or what ethnicity they are. Just their performance. What a concept.
Yeah, it's funny. I didn't see Dylan Mulvaney in any Bud Light Super Bowl ad this year.
Well, the amazing thing, we were just talking about this. I mean, I didn't watch the whole Super Bowl because it was the most boring game I ever saw, but I watched the first half. And I didn't see one woke ad. Did you?
The one that Tom Brady was in with Snoop Dogg about hate.
Oh yeah, that was lame.
I thought
yeah.
that was like, come on. And
Yeah,
then
that
you have a
was
black
terrible.
guy and a white guy, and you're talking about hating each other. I thought that was
Yeah, that was contrived.
perpetuating
that
a
was
stereotype.
that was the bad one. But that was platformed
it.
by like the ADL or something, wasn't it? Yeah. Anyway, all right, Steve. Nice work out there on the hill.
Hey, well,
Very good.
great day to
Congratulations.
celebrate America. We got our bill through. By the way, Larry Kudlow and I wrote the very first version of that bill in January of 2016, and here we are. How many years later, and
Still
trying
kicking.
to make that thing permanent.
All right. When does Trump? You know what you're in for. I'm telling you right now. This is just my guess. I think you're going to be included in Trump's Garden of Heroes. There's going to be a Steve Moore statue in D.C.
Yay! It's about time.
Steve, thanks as always.
I'll tell my kids I know that guy. And he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
Listen to podcasts of Dan and Amy from the AM 560 mobile app. Download it today at 560theanswer.com/mobile. Gain insight into building strong marriages and raising godly children with Focus on the Family with Jim Daly each weekday at 11:30 a.m. on our sister station, AM 1160. Hope for your life.
For over 23 years, Applied Mechanical Sales has offered boilers, water heaters, and